Ya. Ya. Hermano, nos dimos vuelta a Zelda Breath of the Wild. No sé si subí los dos videos del Sea of Thieves con el Richard. Pero hermano, quiero traer un montón de juegos al canal. Un montón de juegos que quiero pasarme. Voy a aprovechar el tiempo libre que me queda para... Pa, hermano, para pasarme todos esos juegos, todos esos juegos. Donde estoy viviendo ahora no tengo internet como para streamear. Así que por eso los streams ya se acabaron. Fue una época bonita, me la pasé súper bien, hermano. Nunca había jugado durante tantas horas en mi vida. Pero siento que esto de grabar los juegos y toda la weá es mucho más fácil, hermano. Es mucho más fácil porque, puta, ponte tú que, no sé, pues weón, entra mi hermana así a hablarme, no sé, yo puedo parar la grabación, puedo editar esa parte. En cambio en directo es todo en vivo, como si. Ya, mano, no sé por qué estoy contando esta weá. The Stanley Parable. Nunca lo he jugado. Me salió una vez en YouTube que era una muy buena reseña que me decían que no me podía spoilear, que el juego se tenía que vivir sin spoiler. No sé de qué se trata. Si es un fracaso este videojuego, hermano, no lo voy a subir, me voy a decepcionar mucho. Pero por lo menos está en español, weón. Así que eso me sirve. En español confirmar. ¿Jugaste de Stanley Parable alguna vez? No. Ajusta la barra deslizante hasta que la computadora sea apenas visible. Ahí. Introduce la hora actual. ¿La hora actual? Son las 11:30. Son las 11 y... Espérate. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué me pide esto? No, pues. 11:31. Vamos a ponerle 32. What the fuck? Nota. Puedes acceder a la configuración de accesibilidad desde el menú principal. Ya. Estás jugando a The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Uy, que igual me bugle. Iniciar partida, configuración. Campo de visión. Hermano, no quiero ajustar nada porque nunca lo he jugado. No sé ni siquiera de qué se trata. No sé qué es. No sé qué es esta weá. Pero ya que me hayan hecho ajustar la hora, me dio miedo. Ya, a ver, iniciar partida. Dice never de. Ah, no alcancé a leer. Haz clic
This is
para.
the story of a
Este.
man named Stanley.
Ya.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
Ay, le gustaba el trabajo este.
Exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Era feliz. ¿Por qué era feliz?
And
Ya.
then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
Ya.
It showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation.
A la
Something
verga.
was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
¿Cómo? ¡Ah, coño, que esto es el juego! Uy, que se ve bien. Ya, o sea, teníamos una vida literalmente de mierda, aunque a este weón le gustaba. Hago clic. ¿Cómo interactúo con las cosas? Ya no sé, pero me dijo que tenía que salir de la oficina. 427, no hay nadie trabajando.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
A la verga. Y miren, no se
No
ve
matter
nada.
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Mira, acá hay un computador que dice... ¡Ah, me puedo agachar! Papá número 1. Mira, cuando hago clic suenan los teclados. What the fuck, hermano. ¿Qué me acabo de...? No sé qué estoy jugando, hermano. No sé qué estoy jugando, a ver. ¡Oh! ¿Lo apagué? ¿Cómo lo apagué? Qué guay, parece un backroom en esta weá, hermano. Qué miedo. Literalmente... ¡Ay, lo apagué de nuevo! Mano, parece literalmente un puto backroom, weón. ¿Puedo correr? No, no puedo correr. No puedo saltar.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ya, hermano. Espérate, creo que es de esos juegos que te revientan la cabeza y te literalmente se salen de a la cuarta pared, hermano. Qué weá, no sé, porque me dice que cruce a la izquierda, pero puedo tomar el camino de la derecha también, pues. ¿Qué hacemos? Ya, a ver, sigamos la historia porque no entiendo nada. Nos fuimos a la izquierda.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ya, ¿qué dice aquí? En alto cuidado, consulte with the board manager. Ok. Stanley. Stanley dice not. No, no tiene eficiencia. O no, están. ¿Qué dice? Están. Please keep the target on the topic of. What the fuck? ¿Y por qué cada vez que hago clic suena el teclado? No entiendo eso. Suena como un teclado. Puta, vos, mi inglés es muy básico. ¿Qué paja esa weá, hermano? Tengo que estudiar inglés, weón. Ya, a ver. Hay que subir.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ahí se aprieta la E también suena el teclado. Ejecutivo y Barroom. To be rich is at the crime. To commit crime is in the beach. A ver, what the fuck. Puta, si está en español el juego, deberían traducir esta agua también. Sé que la voy a traducir porque me interesa, man. Estos mensajes deben significar algo, hermano. Puta la wea. A ver. Traductor de inglés a español. ¿Qué dice? Dice: To be rich. Ser rico. ¿Es un crimen? It a crime. ¿Ser rico es un crimen? Ah, ya, what the fuck. No puedo abrir esa puerta. Qué guala me da pieza.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
2845.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
What? ¿Qué?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Me están haciendo... Ya, a ver, espérate. Me están haciendo a contradecir el juego. A ver, espérate. Es 2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
What the fuck? Que igual, es como que... Mira, estoy empezando a hacer mis teorías. Es como que este weón vivía en una paradoja, no sé qué weón. Y como que están intentando de que se dé cuenta para salir. O me acabo de fumar un porro, hermano. Capaz que ni sea esa weón, hermano. Espérate, quiero ver si se está todo grabando bien, hermano. 11 minutos de grabación. El Saiki lo voy a subir, de hecho, un poco mal. El sonido lo voy a dejar en 0.8, bueno. Listo. Puedo bajar. ¿Qué hay aquí? No hay nada. Juego culiado raro, hermano. Ay. Ah, ya, está cargando.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him?
No sé,
This question would not go unanswered for long.
A ver. ¿Qué hueá este juego, hermano?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
What? Centro de control mental. Escape. A ver, ¿sabes qué? Espérate.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
What? Hermano, ¿qué mierda este juego? No entiendo.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley...
¡A la verga! Pero no hay nadie, po.
...monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Pero ya no hay nadie, escaparon todos, qué weá. Espérate, el 427 era de nosotros, ¿no? Este es el de nosotros. Era el 427, ¿no? No me acuerdo.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Qué loco. Oh, hermano, me mareo con todas las pantallas, weón. No sé si a alguien más le está pasando esta weá, pero veo todo esto y me mareo, weón.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
What the
As
fuck?
the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
¿Y cómo hago eso? What the fuck, hermano, ¿qué estoy jugando? Control mental offline. No puedo apretar nada. Este sí, po. No entiendo que... Puedo salir por ahí, pero... Hay que desmantelar esto, supongo, po, ¿no? No puedo subir por acá. Apretando todo, weón. A ver. Hermano, ¿qué estoy jugando? De verdad, no entiendo.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Off. Hermano, no tengo palabras, no sé qué estoy jugando. No entiendo.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Estoy igual que Stanley, no sé qué
Where had
mierda.
his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Ni cómo sentirse.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Pero este weón me está diciendo qué hacer, pues se contradicen las cosas que está diciendo.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
¿Qué? Si el juego termina acá, no entiendo. ¿Otra vez? Ok. ¿Otra vez?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Por qué se repitió todo?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vamos a ir a la derecha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
No.
Stanley simply stood here, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. Voy a hacer lo que yo quiera,
Stanley
weón.
was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
¿Qué está pasando con este juego, hermano? No entiendo. No, pero ya no le voy a hacer más caso a este culeo. No saltes. Yo salto.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you really convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
No.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood.
No me deja.
Through the red
No,
door.
no, no.
I still don't think we're communicating. Stanley walked through the red door.
Me va a
All
doler.
right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
What the
Broken
fuck?
rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see?
What?
Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
What the fuck?
Well, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
A ver. No, ¿sabes qué? No, no quiero, weón. Oh. Me lleva al mismo lado.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Mi experiencia hasta el momento ha sido un 5, weón.
Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Oh, what the Worldwide Leaderboard. ¿Qué? ¿Esta es toda la gente que ha jugado el juego?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
No estoy entendiendo nada. No estoy...
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game. all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear
Puedes
once you've been
callarte un
playing it
rato,
for
weón.
about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Hermano, ¿qué está pasando?
You heartless
Qué
bastard.
desalmado.
Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
Hermano, ¿qué está pasando?
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
What?
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our
Supervivencia.
backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Hermano, ¿qué está pasando? ¿Qué wea es este juego, culiao? ¿Qué estoy jugando, hermano? No sé qué estoy jugando, pero lo único que sé es que quiero liberar a Stanley, weón. Y siento que este culiao me está controlando, caleta. A ver. Qué wea, hermano. ¿Y si no quiero bajar? No sé qué mierda estoy jugando, hermano. No sé qué decir, no sé.
No, it can't be.
No puede ser, qué cosa.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
What?
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
No me deja tomar mis decisiones.
Now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game.
Hijo de puta.
Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Qué wea.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Ya, Rocket League, wea.
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had.
Hermano, Rocket
Just
League.
a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
¿Qué? Hermano, ¿qué? ¿De cuándo colaboración con Rocket
So
League?
what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Me estáis hueveando. ¿Qué bola este juego, hermano? No te creo. Voy a meter un gol. Ronaldinho.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric
No,
sports
pues deja de meter
experience.
goles, pues,
I need
weón.
to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
¡A la verga! ¿Pero qué está pasando en este juego, hermano? Ya, ahora sí. Problemas, a eso me refería yo, weón. Ya, a ver.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right.
¡Hijo de puta!
Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley.
¡Hijo de
Besides,
puta!
you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
¿Me estoy weando que en serio me va a dejar aquí? ¿Qué hago ahora? ¿Qué hago, hermano? No entiendo qué tengo que hacer, hermano. ¿Y si me meto adentro del arco? ¡Oh!
Hold on. What are you doing?
¿What? ¡A la verga!
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
¿Qué? Una llave. ¿Puedo pescar cosas? No, no puedo. Dice 86 Flint Cabinets. Pensé que me indicaba para dónde tenía que ir. ¡Ah! ¿A dónde estoy cayendo? Hermano, ¿qué hueá este juego? ¿Qué hueá este juego, hermano? No entiendo. Acabamos de escapar del narrador, weón. O del creador del juego. No sé, yo aprieto todo, aprieto todo. ¿Qué tengo que hacer, weón? ¿Qué
I
pasa?
wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon.
No estoy entendiendo nada.
Wait.
¿Y si queda? ¡Otra vez! ¡Hermano! A ver.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No le había llegado una nota. A ver, vamos a hacer lo mismo, pero que hay otros caminos que pude haber
When
tomado.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Espérate. Había una puerta que me decía que yo podía escapar. Me acuerdo. Me acuerdo.
Yet there was not a single
Cállate,
person
culiao,
here
no te quiero
either.
escuchar. Había una puerta que me decía que yo podía
Feeling a
escapar,
wave of
hermano.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping coming to a
De hecho, puedo
staircase.
bajar.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But
Un auto.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was
¿Otra vez?
crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
Weón.
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Oye, ¿verdad?
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Este era todo un
He
sueño.
thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm
¿Qué mierda
doing?
este juego?
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility?
Hermano, ¿qué está pasando?
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain beyond a
¿Y si le
doubt
cortamos la
that this
conversa?
was in fact
El juego está en pausa. Empezar de cero. ¿Cuánto llevo de grabación? Casi 40 minutos. No, yo llevo poco. Muy poco, weón.
dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to
No,
wake
yo no
up.
quiero cerrar los ojos.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my
Calma,
wife
espérate que me están hablando por WhatsApp. Y ahora sí.
and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
Hermano, ¿qué está pasando?
And everything went black.
Juego culiao raro, hermano.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Qué?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
Hermano, qué mierda.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Y vamos a empezar de nuevo. Hermano, quiero encontrarle el final a este juego. ¿Cómo me deshago de este culiao? Hermano, ya me dejó en claro de que este weón controla todo. Me hizo meterme en el Rocket League. ¡Qué mierda! Al principio del juego me preguntaron la hora. ¿Qué hora era? Algo tiene que pasar, hermano. Mira, tenemos dos caminos por seguir. Espérate, voy a esperar que este weón se calle. Ya. Tenemos dos opciones de las que me acuerdo. Una, seguir el camino que me está guiando este weón y cuando salga la ruta de escape, escaparme de ese lugar. Y la otra es no hacerle caso, ir a la otra puerta y había varias habitaciones cuando yo me tiré del elevador culeo ese, hermano. Veamos qué onda.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vamos a llegar a la oficina.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No lo dejé hablar. Ya, a ver. Era 4285. No, era...
Stanley was once again stunned to discover...
¿Cuál era la contraseña?
...of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845.
Era 2845.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
A ver. ¿Cuál es el final de este juego, hermano? Porque se repite todo el tiempo. No sé si este juego tendrá un final o estoy sacando finales alternativos. Ya.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that
Cállate.
read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
¿Cómo?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Mátame, pues, culiao, a
Stanley
ver.
was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
A ver, mátame, weón. What the fuck?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
Uy, la
he
verdad.
reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
Hostia.
And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
F. ¿No?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator. As
What?
Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaw.
What? ¿Por qué hay
In a
otro?
single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
¿Por qué hay otro narrador? ¿Por qué hay un narrador del narrador? De Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
¿Qué?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
¿Qué? ¿El final de este juego literalmente puede ser cerrar el juego? Sí, hermano, esto me está pareciendo una locura, man. Archivadores, computadoras de la oficina, mira el solitario. El database. Chart Pro 0102. Qué weá, hermano. La oficina 010203. Sonidos de botones. Selección de los sonidos que se utilizan en el juego cuando se oprime el botón. En cada uno de ellos se combina un tono sintetizado con el sonido que se produce. Créditos de Stanley Parable. Guión y diseño David Ware. Desarrollo impecable como narrador. Música original. Diseño de modelo. ¿Terminó el juego? ¿En serio? ¿Este era el escape? ¿De verdad? Oficina del jefe. Imágenes del desarrollo de la oficina del jefe. What the fuck? Reloj de oficina. La sala de empleados. Zona subterránea. Una versión inicial de la zona subterránea del juego.
Well, try the other one then. When Stanley came to
Tomas
the
de
deck,
narración
he
descartadas.
traveled upward to the power source
Kevin
at the top of the
Brighting,
facility.
la voz del narrador, grabó el diálogo de todo el juego en 3 momentos diferentes a lo largo de los 2 años de desarrollo. Aquí hay tomas iniciales que no se utilizaron en el juego
This
final.
elevator for sure would get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be.
What the fuck, hermano, qué bacán esta wea. Pero... ¿terminó el juego? ¿De verdad tengo que reiniciar? ¿Este es el final de Stanley? ¿Para siempre, hermano? La oficina... Sala de mantenimiento. Esta nunca la vivo. Una versión inicial de la sala de mantenimiento. Ah. Anuncios de Ultra Deluxe. En diciembre del 2018 hicimos anuncio de la versión Ultra Deluxe de Stanley Parable en The Game Awards. Aquí se muestran capturas de pantalla de los videos que hicimos para el anuncio y el retraso del juego. Zona de guerra. En las primeras etapas del desarrollo, diseñamos un final en el que Stanley terminaba en un campo de batalla luchando contra alienígenas. El juego de acción cobraba conciencia y le declaraba la guerra al narrador. Poco después de empezar a construirlo nos dimos cuenta que era demasiado jocoso y literal para el tono del juego. Además, Algunas personas interpretaban que nos burlábamos de los amantes de los juegos de disparos, y esa no era nuestra intención. Hermano, ¿qué? Juego culiao. Literalmente rompió la cuarta, quinta, sexta pared, weón. Dice, la sala de empleado, una versión inicial de la sala de empleado. O sea que ahora está todo más pulido. El cronómetro del apartamento. En una versión anterior de la selección que conduce al final del apartamento, un cronómetro te daba 15 segundos para atender el teléfono. Si no atendías, llegabas a otro final. El montacarga, el objetivo del montacarga siempre fue ofrecer la opción de quedarse en él o saltar hacia otro camino. Sin embargo, después de esta versión inicial decidimos agregar la opción de que el jugador cayera a la muerte. La segunda versión cumple la misma función que la del juego final, pero queríamos que se pareciera más a un lugar donde se almacenan mercancías. Diagrama de la sala de mantenimiento. Los pasillos que vienen luego de las dos puertas iniciales eran importantes, pues los jugadores los recorrerían muchísimas veces. Probamos con varios diseños, pero definitivamente ganó la versión más simple. ¿Qué? The game is no... Final del menú. Durante mucho tiempo tuvimos un final que solo terminaba cuando el jugador reiniciaba desde el menú de escape. Por desgracia, muy pocas personas se dieron cuenta de que esto era lo que había que hacer, lo cual fue frustrante para todo el mundo. Final del menú. Hermano, de verdad tengo que salirme. Hermano, acá hay mucha información del juego que me vale pico porque no sé. Escritorio de la cuenta regresiva, uno de los escritorios de una versión inicial al final de la cuenta regresiva. El final de la libertad, este es el que desbloqueamos nosotros. Este es el final de la libertad de la versión beta. Ascensor de la sala de monitores. Durante un tiempo el ascensor de la sala de monitores podía subir y bajar. Arriba está la libertad y debajo la cuenta regresiva. Donde no me esta idea porque a los jugadores les costaba recordar que había arriba y que había abajo. Y en cambio pusimos los dos finales juntos. De la cuenta regresiva, pero es que yo no... Prototipo de diseño del juego. Yo no he desbloqueado esos finales, por mano. 427, 427. Son las distintas oficinas. ¡Oh! De izquierda a derecha la evolución de la oficina de Stanley. La primera se creó en noviembre del 2011. Esta. La segunda en marzo del 2012. Y la tercera en febrero del 2013. Hermano, qué juego culeado más loco, weón. No sé qué estoy jugando, hermano. No sé qué acabo de jugar, hermano. Qué experiencia más rara, weón.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
The Stanley Parable. ¿Qué significa Parable? Sabéis que lo voy a buscar ahora porque a lo mejor es paradoja, ¿o no? A ver. O no sé qué significa, pero... Parable. No, no significa nada.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
No way.
As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
¿Qué hago? ¿Qué hago, hermano? ¿Qué?
Don't let
Pude haberme salido. Otra vez. ¿Me hablará la narradora o no? ¿No está el narrador? Esto es distinto, ¿no?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Qué hago? Ya ver.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But
¿Y cómo?
to get back to business,
La única forma de terminar esto es cerrando el juego. A ver, vamos a hacerle caso en esta weá. Ah, no, espérate. Es que quiero sacar todas las weas posibles.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Y si me tiro me muero.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Y empezamos de nuevo. Hermano, qué juego más raro, hermano. No sé qué está pasando. No sé qué está pasando en este juego, hermano.
All his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Qué experiencia más rara jugando esta wea?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Vamos a repetir esta wea hasta sacar el final verdadero.
First, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Mira, podemos seguir hacia allá.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Mira, yo llegué a este camino, el de acá.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the
Ese
wrong
camino
foot
crucé,
here.
¿o no?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else.
Pero podíamos llegar para allá igual, po.
Is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? Espérate, eso no lo había escuchado.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
¿Qué?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Aló. Mano, ¿qué? No entiendo. What the?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
No puedo ver.
Right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Oh.
For you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
A ver, muéstrame.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Buen día, empleado 427. Oprime I en tu teclado.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Oprime O.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Oprime Y.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
No puedo salir de aquí.
Fantastic discoveries of new lands.
Escuchemos
It was
entonces.
wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
G. Oprime G para mirar televisión.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
Qué
The
feo.
thought excited him terribly.
Oprime Y para pasar tiempo con los chicos.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Oprime G para preparar la cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Hermano, ¿qué? Oprime L para contarle una historia a tu hijo.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Oprime R para decirle a tu esposa que la amas.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Oprime N para irte a dormir. Hermano, ¿qué?
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Es que si oprimo el botón te he puesto que me va a mandar al principio. Pero es que a lo mejor esa es la idea, o si te vaya a quedar acá atrapado para siempre. Qué juego más loco, hermano.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Oprime J para no cuestionarte nada. Qué mierda.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Hermano, qué juego. De verdad, esto me acaba de explotar la cabeza, hermano. Juego culiado bien hecho, hermano. Con todas las decisiones que tú tomás y el narrador, y que haya otro narrador encima de ese narrador, y que todo sea, hermano.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, new content?
¿Contenido nuevo?
What does that mean? New content.
What the fuck? What? ¿Contenido nuevo? What the fuck? A ver, espérate. Hermano, ¿cuántas veces puedes reiniciar el juego y pasan cosas distintas? Crucé esa puerta por mero instinto, hermano. Ni siquiera leí que decía contenido nuevo.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
¿Qué mierda este juego, hermano? Y el narrador conversa conmigo, así como que también no sabe qué mierda está pasando, weón.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
¿Qué está pasando, hermano? Juego culiado, chistoso, hermano.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
¿Hoy puedo saltar? Weón, nuevo contenido, el círculo de salto. ¿Y puedo saltar acá afuera? No, acá afuera no. Hermano, ¿qué estoy jugando, weón? Ah, ya no puedo saltar. No, me quedé sin saltos. Ahí está el contenido nuevo.
Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good.
El narrador es God,
I
hermano.
knew there had to be something else.
El narrador
Let's
es
see
God de
it.
este juego,
I'm
hermano.
ready for whatever it is.
Hermano, literalmente el narrador es God en este juego, hermano. Gracias.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see,
jugar el nuevo
Stanley?
contenido.
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore."
Logro de prueba,
The
ignóralo.
Quality Assurance Department signed off on this. I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
¿Lo reiniciamos? ¡Eh! Esto cambió. Narrador. No me dejé solo, pues, weón. Esto es distinto.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Pero espérate, hay algo acá arriba, po. Ah, a ver. ¿Qué me queréis mostrar, culiao?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the
La zona de
Memory Zone.
recuerdos.
It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Hermano, qué juego más raro, weón. No, mira, ahí está el final que sacamos en el que morimos. A ver.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3.
Oh.
It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Está llorando el Mateo. ¿Minecraft? ¿Por qué está Minecraft aquí? Hermano, juego culiao. ¿Portal? O el Portal nos los tenemos que pasar. Hermano, yo me vine acá, me vine a vivir para acá. Y yo con el Richard nos queríamos pasar el Portal 2, weón. Me quiero pasar el Portal 1 y el 2, weón. Pero el 2 lo quería pasar con el Richard. Hermano, ¿qué juego? Los botones. ¡Ah! El desarrollo.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
Pero hermano, no me importa eso.
The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
¿Qué se abrió? Esa, de nuevo. The Serious Room 2013. Y esta puerta no la puedo abrir, hermano.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Steam?
What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor.
No.
I haven't looked at these in years.
No.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Hermano, qué
Surely these
wea.
reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
No, no recomendado.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Hermano, que de verdad el juego culiao está muy bueno, hermano. Hermano, después de esto voy a tener que verme muchos videos para entender a qué quieren llegar con todo esto, hermano. Pero ya siento que el narrador es mi amigo, hermano. Empecé odiándolo porque no me dejaba hacer las cosas que yo quería. Pero ahora estamos juntos en esto, hermano, viendo qué está pasando.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good and...
Uy, hermano. Me asusté, weón. Pensé que mi hermano chico estaba llorando así, pero brígido, hermano, qué weón. Ya.
No, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did.
¿Y por qué está borrado el comentario bueno?
Yeah. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
Me siento un
Perhaps
fracaso.
the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Mira ese, a ver, ¿qué dice este?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
Un botón omitir.
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable.
A la verga.
It's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
¿Es el botón de
And
omitir?
here it is. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on
No lo voy a guardar de
a
nuevo.
display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here?
No sé,
Where
pu.
did the door go?
No sé.
Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort or
A ver,
window or
omitámoslo de
something
nuevo.
like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? Stanley!
¿Qué? ¿Qué?
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls.
¿Y cómo salimos?
Times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise.
Pero que hermano, hay que salir de aquí.
And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore.
Hermano, lo siento. De alguna forma hay que salir de aquí.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
¿Cuánto pasó?
Stanley, I think it's been a week or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly
No pasaron 2 semanas, hermano.
Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything.
La caleta este weón.
That someone else is taking it in.
Me da pena dejarlo
These
solo.
words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real.
Oh.
Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness.
Hermano.
I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again.
Hermano, lo siento.
Cast a shadow onto the wall.
Es que hablé mucho.
Don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel
Hermano, te voy a dejar solo, lo
and
siento.
already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it. To
Lo
think
siento,
of
narrador.
returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Me dio pena, weón.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have
Un
you ever
año.
sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, What took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less.
Hermano, ¿sabes qué? No entiendo nada.
Revelation.
¿Se murió? ¿Y todavía no hay puerta? Hermano, no habla. Me siento raro que no hable. Me siento solo. ¿Cómo salgo de aquí, weón? Nos quedamos encerrados aquí para siempre.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person.
Hermano, me estoy volviendo loco, me quedo pegando en todo lo que dice. Hermano, no puedo más, no puedo más, lo siento. Este juego tiene que terminar de alguna forma, hermano, me estoy volviendo loco. Auxilio, 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 en serio, de verdad. Auxilio, estoy pidiendo auxilio, weón. ¿Cómo salgo de aquí, weón? Juego culiado, hermano, de verdad, por favor, hermano, qué experiencia se está haciendo esto, por favor, sáquenme de acá, weón, no puedo dejar de apretar el botón omitir, hermano, que no puedo pasar nada más. Este weón se volvió loco. Hermano. ¿Qué? ¿Cómo salimos de acá, weón? Oh, hermano, me está dando pena el narrador. Ha estado solo mucho tiempo, hermano. ¿Estará durmiendo ahora de nuevo? ¿Cómo salimos de aquí? ¡Hostia! Cada vez se va deteriorando más. Me sirve para poder salir, weón. Me sirve. Messi. Buena. Ya ahí salía, weón. Ya ahí salía. Podré... No puedo pescar la cagada de escalera. ¿Cómo salgo de aquí, weón? Narrador. Bueno. Hermano, de verdad me estoy sintiendo mal. De verdad, te lo juro. ¿Qué pasa? ¿No hay más omitir? Hermano, qué locura. Qué perturbador ese sonido, weón. ¡Ay! ¡No! ¡Ah! ¡Salida! ¿Qué carajo? ¿Puedo omitir de nuevo, no? No, ya no puedo omitir más. Narrador. Lo logramos, narrador. ¿Cuánto tiempo ha pasado? Qué juego más loco. Hermano, mi cabeza va a explotar, weón. ¿Por qué empecé a jugar esto en primer lugar? No, otra vez no. Otra vez no. ¿Cuál es el final de este juego, hermano? ¿De verdad el único final es salirme de este juego? ¿De verdad? No lo entiendo. No quiero más. Por favor.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Nuevo contenido. New content. Paso.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Qué me faltaba por ver? Esto de verdad es un juego infinito, hermano. No puedo creerlo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ya sinceramente no sé, weón. No es por llevarle la contra al narrador, pero...
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
A la izquierda. ¿De verdad el único camino? Esto se va a empezar.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Ah.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ay, otra vez llegué aquí.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
Yo creo que ese es el final.
Suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Hermano, este es el juego infinito. De verdad. Pero de verdad le agarré cariño al narrador. Me dio pena haber omitido todo eso, weón. Me dio pena de verdad haber omitido todo, weón.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be...
Hermano, es que cambia a cada rato el juego, hermano, cambia todo el rato. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa, weón? ¿Qué pasa?
Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
¿Qué? Voy a coger esta porque... Ah, coño, que es lo mismo. Los backrooms, hermano. Estos son los backrooms del Rorro. Estos son los putos backrooms.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Hermano. ¿Cuál es el verdadero? ¿Cuál es? No me puedo ir aquí sin encontrarle un sentido a esto. No puedo irme, hermano. No puedo irme sin encontrarle un sentido a esto. ¿Cuánto llevo? 58 minutos grabando, weón. No hay puertas.
I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
A ver. El contenido nuevo.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
¿Qué?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
Devolvámonos.
I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is
No.
that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
¿Qué?
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
What? ¿Esto cambió? Espérate, ¿y ya no está el nuevo contenido? ¿El new content? No. Ya no está. Creo que nos metimos en un lado donde no debíamos habernos metido, weón.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hold on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music.
Ya, sí, pones música mejor porque me estoy volviendo loco.
the music.
No.
Go back and look at that fern.
Vuelve y mira el helecho.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Anual reviews. ¿Y ahí de qué me sirve esto? Qué juego más loco, hermano.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Pero si tú hiciste la línea, pues culiao, ¿qué me preguntáis a mí? Otra vez.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore, to hell with it.
Reinicia, weón. Ay. Y ya no me habláis, weón.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
Por favor.
Exciting,
Sí,
daring,
hermano.
Mysterious. Ooh, this
Sí.
sounds perfectly doable.
Sí.
Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ya, dale, hermano. Yo confío en ti ahora, weón.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Hermano, este es un pasillo infinito, weón.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Porque, hermano, es el único camino para seguir. Bien.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our
Ya.
control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Camina en círculos un minuto.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door
Me
on the
perdí,
right
weón.
is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny
La derecha dijiste, ¿no?
awaits.
¿Qué? Final de la confusión.
Hold up, what's this?
Ha jugado al final de la confusión durante 17.
You're
¿Qué?
telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget?
Con razón te olvidáis de todo,
Mine goes
weón.
blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on.
Ah,
Be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
hermano, reinicia, ya no tenemos nada más
And
que
the
hacer.
timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us?
Ay, no sé.
Will something happen? So, okay.
No reinicia, weón.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey.
Mano, voy a ir a almorzar. Ya, ahora sí. Ahora sí. Estoy acá con mi hermana. A ver, saluda.
Hola,
Va a estar acá hasta que se termine el juego.
They're always saying that life is about the journey.
Tú lo vas a estar
and not the
escuchando ya,
destination.
pero
So I
no
hope
preguntes
that's
nada.
where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we?
Porque no vas a entender, po.
Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you
Ni yo sé de qué se trata, no entiendo.
Ah, bueno.
Y reiniciamos otra vez, en serio, ¿cómo? ¿En qué momento va a parar esto, por favor?
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of
Estaba
this
sonando
message
el
is to warn you
teléfono.
about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time
Puta,
you
pero ¿qué
believe
está
you are
diciendo? No
listening to a
entiendo.
recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
¿Y eso fue todo?
No tenía ni idea.
A ver.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
¿Qué cosa?
¿Es algo de miedo? ¿Qué?
No, no es de miedo.
Me gustó el juego.
¿Qué me quería mostrar? ¿Otra vez?
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable
Yeah.
and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned
Tráeme
out
vasito de agua,
to
porfa.
be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one
What the
step
fuck?
even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Ya. ¿Qué?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions?
Yeah.
Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An
No sé.
entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
No sé yo, ¿eh?
Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Hermano, ¿sabes qué? A este punto yo ya estoy perdido de qué se trata este juego, Julio, hermano. De verdad que ya no entiendo nada.
I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
No entiendo. Aquí vamos a llegar con todo esto, hermano.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
El botón. Say the name. Ah, el botón que dice el nombre de los jugadores. De los que estén
For the
jugando.
Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the
Dice
button only
Jim.
says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name.
Hoy
whatever
estaría
name
buena
it
esta
is.
wea,
Here, let's have you
Estaría súper
all
buena
play
esta
as
wea.
Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget who
no puedo salir.
you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love. Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. You happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Jim. See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away. Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
¿Qué dice? The Stanley Parable 2. Please, no screenshot.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Ya.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
No sé qué estoy haciendo acá, hermano. Creo que la única forma de terminar esto es saliéndose del juego.
Test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Ok.
¿Entendiste?
¿Ah?
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
No. No entiendo.
Y nunca lo voy a entender.
Oh.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
¿Qué?
Cosa. ¿Qué era eso?
Recogió un coleccionable.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Qué barbaridad.
El hoyo infinito, a ver. Is one end. No entiendo este juego, hermano.
¿Entienden?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling.
Veamos si es verdad.
You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top and we can continue onward.
¿Qué tan infinita es la caída, weón?
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
¿Y si no quiero? ¿Y si no quiero apretar el botón culiao? ¿Qué pasa?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Oh.
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole
casi infinito.
Mostly infinite? If that works for you,
¿Cómo llego para arriba,
press
po,
the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yeah, infinite hole right there.
Continúa para siempre hasta el fin de los tiempos. No hace falta que lo vea todo.
But not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh.
Uy.
The holes seem even shorter to you
¿Verdad?
this time. I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean,
¿Verdad?
admittedly, I
No,
didn't
pero el
make an
agujero no está
infinite
tan
hole.
hondo, po.
I didn't think it was that
Como
not
que se
infinite.
vino más adelante
Well, I
la cosa.
suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport.
A ver, me va a tirar de nuevo.
Come join me up above.
Tírate,
Had enough?
quiero
I'm
ver.
positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
¿Viste más corto ahora?
Okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here?
No entiendo qué está
Stanley,
pasando.
I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The
Oh.
shame of my... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch.
Bueno, no puedo subir ahora.
Who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is
No,
the
no funciona.
teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it
No
again.
voy a poder salir.
Still nothing? Well, I
No
suppose,
funciona la wea.
I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
No, no te vayas.
Care to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone.
No.
You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of it.
No, y se fue de verdad, weón. Oye, no me deja subir, po.
Oye, pero ¿cómo no voy a subir? Es...
What?
No, espérate, dejo de hablar.
¿Qué son así?
¿Y eso no? ¿Eso no? Sí.
¿Qué pedo la música, weón? Me hace recordar los easter eggs del Black Ops de los zombies. Qué chucha.
No, la música, la escuché de todo. Es como que...
Cambia tu perspectiva. ¿Qué? Ya, este es Stanley. No, weón, fue. Cambia tu percepción. ¿Qué es este juego?
Oye, ya po.
Cambia tu realidad. ¿Qué? Hermano, no entiendo qué mierda este juego.
My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine. My head's stronger.
Hermano.
Now you're no longer using up the space.
Hermano, no pensé que este era Stanley, weón. What the... What the... Hermano, ya sabéis que yo ya no entiendo nada de este juego, man.
Stanley? Stanley!
No, déjame jugar con la realidad, weón.
It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single minute. So
Qué barbaridad de juego,
I
man.
just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole. From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Voy a empezar a bajar de nuevo el hoyo, en serio. Hermano, ya. ¿Qué? Si vuelvo al principio...
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Hermano, no sé qué, no sé qué mierda este juego. Es que no acabo de entender nada de este juego. ¿Y si vuelvo a iniciar partida? ¿Vuelvo desde el principio? ¿En serio?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vamos a activar el último final, hermano.
He refused to believe it.
¿Qué pasa si dejo la máquina prendida?
His own life
Porque
in someone else's control.
la primera vez la apagué.
It was unthinkable.
Vamos a ver qué tipo de finales. Hermano, este juego tiene muchos finales diferentes. La cagó, hermano. No hay una forma de terminar el juego concretamente, man. Y esa weá me tiene loco.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the control.
No sé qué hice, no sé qué hice.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted?
¡A la verga!
Stanley. I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Me parece bien, todos vamos a morir.
Until detonation then, let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them.
¿Qué le pasó?
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. And I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock.
No, bu.
These are precious additional seconds.
Puta el culiao.
It doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Sold? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. Ooh. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable.
A la verga.
Moment we fade in until
Por fin va a terminar esto, por fin. ¡Hala! No, olvídalo, olvídalo, no. No. Ya, acá quedó Stanley Parable, no entendí nada del juego, pero me gustó. Muchas gracias, nos vemos la próxima. Chao.